Good morning, YouTube. It is Sunday, January 23rd, which is the first day of the Hello 2022 Readathon. I got up a little early this morning. I usually get up so that I can get ready for church at about 7:15 on Sundays, but today I set my alarm for closer to 6:30 so that I could start off the day and the Readathon with a little time to read first thing after I got up. So my first book, I wasn't sure about. You remember when I was doing the TBR video. I knew that I was going to start Cast at some point today, but between the three fiction books, I had no idea which one I wanted to start with, so I did choose, and the one I chose was A Marvelous Light. The reason I decided on that one ultimately is because the other two are either ones I've already read before, like No One Is Here Except All of Us, or partially had read before, or was part of a series that I've read some of, like Mr. Impossible. And so I figured that the next 2 days are either weekend days or days that I'm working at home. So during that time I thought, why don't I knock out the book that I haven't read any of that's completely new to me, and then on the later days of the week when I do actually have to go to work, I can bring along a book that I'm more familiar with, and then I won't get distracted from what I'm trying to read. So that's the game plan. I'm going to start this. I'm going to go curl up in bed with my morning cup of tea and get started reading. I just wanted to do a little end of day one update for the Readathon. I participated in the reading sprints that we did today on the Sarah's Reading Nook channel, and as of the end of day one of the Readathon, I have officially gotten through 60 pages of A Marvelous Light. Now 60 pages may not seem like a lot if you're a particularly prolific reader, but for me, who usually reads about a chapter of a book a day and often only gets through maybe a book every 3 to 4 weeks, 60 pages is really good for me. So, and I actually might even get a little more done before I go to bed. It's about 10:30 at night now, and I do have to be in a Zoom for work at 8:30, but, you know, I can take a little bit more time to read before I have to go to bed. So I am really enjoying this book so far. I'm glad that I chose this for my first book, because it is one of those really sort of accessible, easy, fun reads. It's got a really interesting sort of magical system to it. There's a mystery that I haven't really been able to puzzle out, and there is a really cool dynamic between these two characters that you know eventually are going to fall in love with each other. You know, that's not part of the mystery, you know that going in. And just the way that they grate on each other's nerves now is going to make whenever they get together so much more satisfying. So I will see you tomorrow when I will be reading more of this, and I'll have some more updates then. So this is my work from home breakfast. I have some tater tots and some scrambled eggs with vegetables in them. And then I also have a little bit of avocado over here. The avocado wasn't very good as a whole, so I didn't actually use a lot of it, but I have a little bit of it there. minutes before I have to go back into my library training this morning. I have a Google Meets meeting about book repair in about 5 minutes. Clearly the most exciting part of my job. So I thought I would take these couple minutes while I have a second to give you a little bit of an update on my Hello 2022 Readathon progress. Obviously, because I've been working this morning, I've had all of these library meetings, I haven't had a chance to read very much. But I did get to read a little bit this morning of A Marvelous Light, which I do have here right next to me. Because I did actually remember to unset my work alarms since I wasn't going into the building this morning, but I still woke up at 5:15 in the morning anyway, and I woke up wide awake. I think I'm just sort of anxious about the new semester starting tomorrow, so my body just woke me up and was ready to go at 5:15, but I didn't want to get up that early. So instead, I just pulled out my book and I read a little bit more of the next chapter, so I'm at about page 75 by now, and then after that I was able to go back to sleep for a little longer. So my work training ends at about 12:30 today, and then after that all I have to do is some grading and some planning for the teaching side of my job. So after that point I can spend the afternoon going back and forth between work and reading breaks. And I'm really looking forward to that. I want to get a whole nother big chunk of this book knocked out today and then see what happens. Another thing that I realized yesterday when I was watching my footage over again is that I had said a couple times now that I'm going to be reading Caste, The Origins of Our Discontents by Isabel Wilkerson at the same time as I'm reading my other books in the reading challenge. But that, I think it became increasingly clear yesterday as I was digging really strongly into A Marvelous Light that I am probably not going to do that. I am running the risk then of not finishing Caste by the time of my book club on Sunday. But I really don't think that I can balance reading any of those two books at the same time. I really need to single-mindedly go into one book. I am currently so focused on A Marvelous Light that I don't want to be thinking about any other story. So, you know, it was a nice idea while it lasted, but I think I'll be more successful at this reading challenge if I just do one book at a time. So I'm in this weird place right now with my reading for the Readathon. I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to identify with this, but because I don't normally sort of marathon read this fast, I'm in this weird in-between stage mentally where 50% of my brain is going, wait, slow down, why are you reading so fast, you know? Just cool it down a little bit and read slower. And then the other 50% of my brain is really liking this book and is going, faster, read faster so you know what happens. So I'm sitting in this kind of inertia place with regards to reading because I want to read some more this afternoon now that I'm pretty much done with work for the day. But like I said, I have these two halves of my brain, one of which is like, you've read so much already in the last 24 hours, just calm down. And the other half is like, go read immediately, you have to know what happens, you have to do it right now. So I'm going to see if I can surmount that hurdle and get a little bit more of this book read, but maybe I just need some time to palate cleanse my brain. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else experiences that, especially if you don't do a lot of these kind of readathons. Shout out to the fact that you can tell it's the end of my work day in that last video, because I was drinking a glass of red wine right before I filmed that, and you can kind of see it stains my lip like purple. It always does that no matter how like, hydrated my lips are. Although granted, they're not very hydrated right now. But even when they are, even when I'm like putting chapstick on them all the time, it still does that all the time. And I cannot stop watching that video and going, it looks like I've been punched in the lip. So, you know, I don't check the mirror before I do these, apparently. And that's just something we're gonna have to deal with. I also wanted to show you guys that I got an Amazon package in the mail yesterday. This is actually the first of 3 packages. It's the same order, but it's coming in 3 different sections, so that keeps it kind of fun and fresh. But the first thing I ordered was this Lapsang Souchong tea, which is one of my favorites. I love it so much. I cannot wait to open it. I also ordered these face masks, like skincare face masks, not COVID face masks. Yes, the title did get me, but it has like 14 different face masks in it. These are what they are. And again, I cannot wait to use that. Those are going to be so much fun. It is evening, about like 7 p.m. on the 3rd day of the Hello 2022 Readathon. I am so tired. So you remember how yesterday I said that I did not need to get up at the crack of dawn because I was working from home, but my brain, even though I had unset my alarms, my brain still woke me up at 5:15. Well, today, I needed to wake up at 5:15 because I was going into work for my first teaching day of 2nd semester, and my brain, in its quest to continuously be helpful, woke me up at about 4:15 in the morning. So, I did end up, I think, going back to sleep or at least resting for a little while, and then got up with my alarm later at 5:15, but, you know, very, very tiring. And obviously the first day back is never entirely easy. So I've not gotten a lot of reading done today. It is very hard to carve out time to read at work. Not just because I'm so busy, but also because I'm just never really alone. And so I've read about 1 chapter so far today. And I'm gonna curl up and read a little bit more before I have a little dinner. I don't think today is going to be a huge day in terms of page counts, but tomorrow there is another reading sprint, so I should knock plenty of it out tomorrow. I do actually think there's a good chance that I'll finish this book by the end of the readathon, but I'm also thinking it might be the only one that I finish, because I'm averaging about 50 pages a day, which again, I'm going to stress is like amazing for me and my personal reading speed. But in terms of finishing more than 1 book in a week, I'm not sure that it's going to get me past this single book. I guess we'll see what happens as we go on. I take that back, you guys. It's not 7 p.m., it's 6 p.m. I can't read a clock, apparently, or remember things that I have seen. So it's only 6 p.m. It's not as late as I thought it was. Everybody, it's sometime later. We're well into February at this point, and I'm sitting here with a delightful cup of Lapsang Souchong tea. But I wanted to come back and do a wrap-up to check in with you about the Hello 2022 Readathon that I participated in. Because you might be looking at the footage you've seen so far and thought, wow, she didn't film very much of the reading that she did. What happened to the other 3 books? So, here's the thing. I have said before that readathons are kind of a learned skill. And it's not a skill, honestly, that I'm particularly good at yet. Readathons require you to be able to read fairly fast if you're going to try to tick off all the prompts before the end of the time. And I think you have to be a faster reader than I am to do that in a lot of cases, and also maybe less busy than I am, because I am terrifically busy all the time. So I did only read 1 book for the readathon, and it's the one that you've seen me read. It's A Marvelous Light. Thankfully, considering that it was the only book that I read in this readathon, A Marvelous Light was actually a 5-star read for me. It was, I think the last time I gave a book 5 stars was in the spring and summer of last year, when I read Homegoing by Yagayasi. So this is, I don't read enough books to give a lot of 5 stars. It's not really that I'm that picky, I just don't read enough to like rack up a big list of them, but this was definitely a 5-star book. There were a couple of things that I really liked about it. It's just enjoyable all the way through, first of all. It's a very accessible read, it's a very addictive read. You find that you really want to know what happens next. I was not very able to guess what the sort of mystery was going to unravel into. I wasn't very good at predicting that, which was good because it meant that the events that occurred in it took me by surprise. Yes, hello. You want to join in some videos? The romance as well is kind of a slow burn. It takes a couple hundred pages to really get anywhere. And I really appreciated that because I said in an earlier segment of this video, even though it seemed at the beginning like they were really disliking each other, I knew that they were going to fall in love eventually, and so it made it more satisfying to see that relationship develop because I knew that it was going to surmount those initial obstacles. So by the way, the reason that he's on here, I don't know if you can see him, is because typically when I come home we have 5 minutes of dedicated snuggles before he gets tired of me. And he didn't do that right when I got home, so now that he's correctly inferred that I'm sitting on my bed, he would like to have the cuddles now. So he also, I think, wants to be on TV. He wants to be a YouTuber. Another thing that I mentioned in my Goodreads review, which I will link my Goodreads profile here. I write detailed reviews for every book that I sort of officially read and finish. But another thing that I liked about it that I mentioned in that review was that I felt that everything was very well rooted in the characters. So all of the feelings that they had, the decisions that they made, the actions that they took, the reservations that they had about certain things and insecurities and flaws, all of that felt very grounded in the character. And even, I would go on to say, there are a few quite steamy sex scenes in this book. And what I really liked about that was that specifically the sexual content also felt really rooted in the characters. It didn't feel like, oh no, we're going into this like spicy scene now, and it's really sort of, you know, tantalizing, because that's not going to do anything for me. What I will really enjoy is if it's grounded in character, and therefore I can enjoy it on another level beyond just, you know, they're in the book getting it on and I have to like read about it for 6 pages. So I really appreciated that. This is definitely a 5-star read if you like, you know, queer romances, if you like magical societies, if you like period pieces. I would definitely consider picking this up if I was you. I described it in my Goodreads review as kind of like The Magicians meets Brideshead Revisited. And I think that's accurate. I don't know, I actually have never read Brideshead Revisited, so maybe it's completely off base. So next up on my TBR is actually to finish the book that I was reading before I started A Marvelous Light, which is Blackout by Connie Willis. It's a time travel science fiction story. I'm really enjoying this book. It's been a while that I've been reading it now though, so I really am intent on getting this book finished by, I'm gonna say, Friday evening. I have 95 pages left. That is a very manageable amount to read in 48 hours. Although, for me, my normal reading, it would usually take me about a week, so I'm going to try and, like, hasten it along here. And then my next plan is a little bit of a challenge for myself. I'm not doing another readathon yet, but I want to kind of train myself for my next readathon. And the way that I'm going to do that is whatever book I choose to read after I finish Blackout. That book I am challenging myself to finish in 1 week. So hopefully I'll finish Blackout on Friday evening and choose my next book, whatever it's going to be, on Friday night. And I'll have then until the next Friday night to completely finish the book. And that is my goal. I think it is possible to train yourself to read a little bit faster, train yourself to find time in your day to read more pages. And that's what I hope that doing this next book in a week is going to accomplish, is to help me get that skill under control. So I will see you with that video in probably about another week and a half. Florence may post another video before then, but I thought you should probably have an update on how the readathon went. I'm not going to say I failed at the readathon. I think the organizers would agree as well that there is no failing at it, really. You do as much as you want to do, as much as you can do, and as long as you enjoy yourself, you know, you've succeeded. And I did very much enjoy participating in the readathon and reading this book. But did I get 4 books read? No. Did I even get 1 book read during the week of the Hello 2022 readathon? Technically, no. I got about 150 pages into this, and the rest of it I read in the 2 weeks following that. But I had a great time, and I will let you know the next time I do a readathon. Are you thinking of jumping up on that chair while I'm trying to film? You better not. This is my filming tripod, by the way. It is a director's chair, a bolster, another book, a piece of paper, a tissue box, and a shoe.